an environmental crusader in Los Baños, Laguna, was recently named one of the 15 outstanding women in the nation's service. Towns recognized Dr. Decibel Faustino-Eslava in the field of environmental science for local learning communities. She stands alongside other exceptional women of the year, such as attorney Cristina Conti, Shelo Magno, and AFP spokesperson Colonel Francel Margaret Padilla. Last year, Dr. Eslava took the distinction of Outstanding Filipino bestowed by Metrobank Foundation. For 3 decades, Dr. Eslava's interdisciplinary work has advocated for environmental education, disaster resilience, and sustainable development. Here we feature individuals and initiatives that champion the environment. Welcome to Sustainability. We delve deeper into the advocacies of Dr. Decibel Faustino-Eslava, from Project Saray Centro to Pamana, a driver of smart agriculture and responsible mining that helped countless people. Dr. Eslava, who teaches at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, joins us via Zoom. Good evening, Doctor. Welcome to Sustainability.
Good evening, Tess, Pauline, and Sean. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
You are a PhD holder and you have a double major in, hold on, Earth Systems and Geology, Master of Science in Geology. But you've decided to focus your efforts on disaster risk reduction when you came back from Japan. Tell us about it. You experienced flooding, don't we all?
Yes. It's becoming more frequent now. So after doing my PhD, it wasn't Japan. After Japan, I went to Hong Kong for my PhD. And the first assignments I got, one of the first, were to visit disaster-stricken areas, particularly after Ondoy and Pepeng in 2009. Prior to that, my work really focused on geochemistry and magnetism of rocks. So it's really very far from what I'm doing now. But I was flying in from a trip to China, and then I looked out the window and I saw all the streets in Manila as the plane was coming down. All the streets were brown, and I was thinking, what's wrong? What's happening? I was in China for about a week, and that was the week of Ondoy. And I realized a lot of things are changing from when I was really in Manila. And I went around. Ondoy was shocking. I used to live in Pasig. We were originally from Pasig, and my cousin's house were flooded to the roof. And then after that, tuloy-tuloy na. Every year, something was really happening. And fortunately, UPLB recruited me, and I went into the School of Environmental Science and Management. And that's when I started to learn that the science that we're doing can only really make a difference if we start going down to the community level. So from the so-called ivory tower of geochemistry and magnetism, I had to, get real and think about how to help communities more.
And well, we are bracing for a super typhoon Opong. And tell us what strides you have made and how important it is for communities to really get to the grassroots, and how communities can be better, how can they cope better with disasters like these?
Right. So there are many approaches. You know that there are 2 ways that we can look at the problem. The most important is adaptation. We know we're already feeling what climate change is doing. More rains, more waters, more floods, and during the dry season, not enough water, not enough water to go around. So we have 2 options to adopt. That's the first one. It's urgent. So we need to figure out what we need to do, and that goes down to what does an individual have to know, what actions an individual has to take, and then bring it up to the family level, to the community or barangay level, and then also a top-down approach. Things don't really move unless there's policy and money to support the actions. So in terms of adaptation, the government already put together a document, the National Adaptation Plan, and it outlines what we need to do for sectors, I think 8 sectors of society that includes agriculture and fisheries, housing. So there's 8 of those. And then there's another document, the mitigation, the nationally determined contributions to mitigating greenhouse gases. And it banks on really how do we contribute to the global goal of cutting down on emissions. Now, for me, the more important part is the adaptation because it is, like I said, more urgent. We're feeling it now. Apektado na tayo. It's really killing us now. So what do we do? There's a stream of work under the UNFCCC and the Paris Convention of 2020 that says we need to invest in education, public awareness, training, public participation, public access to information, and international cooperation so that everyone, individuals, can take action to empower everyone. So this is what we call the Action for Climate Empowerment. This is a voluntary stream under the UNFCCC that facilitates high-impact action against climate change. And it shifts the focus of climate strategies on every member of society, on you and me. What do we need to do to combat whatever it is that's happening to us now? So in terms of what's happening to us now, the typhoon coming in, Opong, is a lot like Ondoy. It's slow. It's not very strong, but it has a lot of water. So what do? We cannot take the regular action. Just, people complaining earlier, bakit walang pasok ang araw-araw naman? So there's a lot of things that we need to do in terms of educating our communities. What do those pag-asa warnings mean? They're not typhoon signal 1 kasi nandyan na siya. It's a warning na you have so many hours to prepare. Ang tagal na nating binabagyo, and yet our communities, maybe even some of us don't still know what the warnings mean. So there's a lot of work to do in terms of educating, making people aware so that they can really participate and take action at the individual level.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, last night we had the UNWFP country head here, Mr. Regis Chapman, and he was discussing about how BBM just signed, this landmark legislation about
anticipated action.
Yes,
for short.
For short. For you, is that sort of thing, like institutionalizing basically things that we have learned, like, kumbaga, sige, di ba, maglilikas na ako, hindi na ako maghahantay, napilitin ako nung mga rescuers. Have you felt like on the ground, these things are actually improving na, yung people taking affirmative action and anticipative action?
Yes, that action, that group of work that you describe is what we call anticipatory action. So it covers yung immediate action before or when something is about to come, but it also covers yung long-term preparatory work. For example, how do we prepare our yung mga health centers for coping with stressors such as extreme heat events or extreme rainfall events. So it doesn't only cover yung immediate na actions, but yes, yung actions that that people are doing now, it's getting better. People are, first, they're listening to Pag-asa now. Pag-asa receives less bashers now, I think. And people curious about, they're asking bakit merong signal tapos meron pang hiwalay for rainfall. So just the fact that people are asking means that they're trying to understand the information that's being put forward for them. So that's a lot of, those are some of the changes that are happening. But there's still more that we need to do. There was a survey conducted among students and then also other older members of society, asking them if they are aware of what climate change is, what disaster risk is, what disasters and hazards are, how they're different. So a lot of the students answered they're aware, but they feel that they're not technically equipped. When the same questions were asked of teachers, they're aware, but when they were asked to define what climate change is, less than 30% were able to correctly describe what climate change is, what hazards are, what disasters are. So there's awareness, but there's not enough correct information going around. So the ACE strategy that we're developing, and we're co-developing this with the Department of Environment and Natural Resources and the Climate Change Commission. So we're putting together, we did several surveys of national government agencies, and even in our agencies, we found a very low level of correct awareness. There is awareness, but it's not always correct. So if you don't know something the proper way, the correct way, you don't know enough about it, then you cannot take proper action to address it. So the strategy now that we're proposing is for the first step for the government itself to work on capacitating its members, its the bodies, and then from there create strategies that could support the actions being proposed by the government. Like I mentioned earlier, we have those two documents, the National Adaptation Plan, and all our government, most of our government agencies have something to play in that NAP. And then also the NDC, the Nationally Determined Contribution. So if they all have roles to play and they don't know about it, then who's going to play the part? We actually did a survey, and we started this work last year, and we asked them, are there ACE strategies? Because the ACE work officially should have started, or by 2012, the Philippines should already have submitted documents to the UNFCCC about what we've been doing, and we haven't really done anything. We only started last year. And when we were asking partners in national government agencies, are there ACE initiatives in your offices? And what's ACE? That's a question that we got. So
Well,
we
you're right.
started. So we suggested we start with our government agencies first, and then from there, once we have the policies, then hopefully we will receive funding for those so that the policies could be implemented.
You're right, Dr. No. Education is very, very important. And speaking of education, well, you also pioneered the PhD in environmental diplomacy and negotiations. It's the first of its kind globally. I'm curious, Doctor, what would you say is the most effective strategy in training and teaching the next generation?
All right, so the PhD in environmental diplomacy and negotiations is very unique. You know that we have a lot of environmental conflicts in resource use and utilization and access. So we want to come up or train cadres of environmental leaders who are not only very emotional about the issues, but that they are technically adept. They know what they're talking about, and they know the strategies for negotiating, and also to be diplomatic about it. So that's what we're doing. We're training PhD people. So these are already professionals. The first cohort, we already have 3 batches now, but the first cohort, we're very proud of them. One is from the military, one is from Congress, actually, a lawyer in Congress. Another is with a global aid agency, one is from an environmental institution, and another is from the industry, from pharmaceuticals. So yes, because the interest of the pharmaceuticals is in piracy, biopiracy. Can you imagine that we are actually competing with the world in terms of resources, not just with our neighbor China. There are other countries that are interested in what we have. We found out that some of our students who are studying, for example, carbon stock, so this is related just to climate change studies, but the samples that she brought it to another country. The professors there asked if they could keep the samples. And this mistake of us, the student was, she didn't ask us, but normally we don't allow it because there is a chance that those materials would contain microbes that could be used for medicinal research. Yes. And so we need to teach people, take care of our resources, don't just give them away.
Right.
And there have been several problems about that. You could see publications na, naka-develop sila ng something, and then you look at the materials, uy, galing sa amin yan. Tapos wala pong katrabahong Filipino. So we need to teach them. And our approach now is to teach at the PhD level because these are the people who can make a difference really in coming up with policies and frameworks and strategies that could really matter.
Dr. Day, we can really feel your passion, even if you're not with us in the studio, about the work that you're doing. I want to ask you one final question and a short answer, please, because we're running out of time. But paano naman yung human disaster? Disaster caused by humans, like flood control, corruption. Here you are doing your work and it's just being destroyed by corrupt politicians. And does it not dissuade you from the work that you're doing?
It makes me angry, and and I want to do something about it. You know, they take a lot of my money every month, no, panggata sana yun ng anak ko, pero it goes to their pockets. But when you're angry about something, you feel more passionate about it, and it fuels me. So I want to leave a better world for my child, and I just keep doing this. So the science would always teach us, diba, what sound decisions should be, but the value system of a coach of a community would prevail. It's always what would prevail. So it's complicated. So me as a scientist, as a physical scientist, I need to work more with communities and with social scientists to find out solutions that, you know, physical sciences may not be able to give. And that's the complicated part, the human side to all of this. So OGK na lang, only God knows where things are going, but I hope it would go somewhere, you know, beautiful and sustainable, because this isn't really for us, it's for our children.